Naruto, the ninja who picks up ultimate powers. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 81. Hearing Hinata's words, Natsuki had an unsurprising expression. Looking at the cute girl beside him, Natsuki spoke. Hinata, did you see that? When Tsunade-sensei and I fight, those powerful fists are very powerful, right? Hearing this, Hinata recalled that when he was fighting, Tsunade's iron fist is invincible. The power was simply unparalleled and terrifying. That kind of fist, you only need to hit it, you can completely win the battle, right? Tsunade-sensei is so good. Hinata's face, with a serious color, spoke. That kind of strange power, you only need to hit it once, you can end the battle. Nodding, Natsuki spoke. So Hinata, if you can try to learn Tsunade-sensei's Genquan flow. The Hyuga clan's Jochuan is very powerful. But now Hinata, there is no way to learn the advanced physical arts of Jochuan for the time being, you may as well learn Genquan flow. Looking ahead, Natsuki spoke. It's not good to be too strong in physical skills, and it is not good to focus too much on internal blows like soft boxing, so learning Genquan fluid techniques is quite good for Hinata if you combine rigidity and softness, both internal and external. Your strength will definitely be able to break through the limits of soft boxing. Speaking of this, Natsuki's tone and expression suddenly brought undisguised expectations. Maybe Hinata will be able to create his own school of physical arts in the future. Let me think, what is it called? Hinata Ryu Extreme Body Technique, it's pretty good. Hinata looked at Natsuki with a smile, and at this moment he seemed to be immersed in the fantasy of her in the future, becoming one of the top ninja masters in the ninja world. Such a Natsuki-kun. It's cute. At this moment, Hinata's heart rose a trace of fighting spirit. Think about the physical arts of the heavenly seat and keep making progress. Although I don't know if I can really spread the extreme body technique, how to say it. Hinata wants to try it. After all, her Natsuki-kun is looking forward to it. Natsuki-kun, I will study the Genquan flow well with Tsunade-sensei. Hinata's face had a serious look on him and he spoke. Hearing this, Xiaomu was stunned for a moment, and then nodded. I know, but it doesn't matter if I can't learn it, because Hinata has me. Hinata smiled and nodded. Well, I see. After dropping Hinata to her door, Natsuki left. When I got home, I took a bath, and after dinner, Natsuki sat down in her small yard. The mother is watching TV. By the way, the world of Hokage also has a TV thing. Although the technology tree of this world is a little crooked, but the show at this time is very boring. Looking at the stars in the sky, Natsuki was in a good mood. Today's battle, I saw several high-quality card system, all fused for me. Integration begins. When the sound of the system fell, Natsuki felt that a warm current appeared in his body, wrapping his whole person in it, which was very refreshing. And at the same time, several ninjutsu that fell from Jiraiya and Tsunade appeared in his mind, including Yin Seal and 100 How technique. Although he doesn't really want to use it, the Yin Seal can make his youthful appearance permanent, which is very good. If he and Hinata both learned, wouldn't they be immortal young people? That's nice. System, open my properties panel. Natsuki said in his heart. Shu host properties panel. Name, Natsuki Urine. Chakra, 6543. Ninjutsu, 1341. Physical skills, 1332. Illusion, 1316. Blood succession limit. White eyes, evolutionary. Complete immortal body. Comprehensive strength assessment. Shadow level. After glancing at the data, Natsuki nodded with satisfaction. It's really balanced. And the immortal body, since he got the 1000-hand immortal human body, he has become a complete immortal body. And the changes in it Natsuki are not very clear, but it is always a good thing. His physique should completely surpass the contemporary ninja. I don't know how long the film level evaluation will last, but if I think about it, it should be a long time. I just don't know if the evaluation of the next stage will be ultra shadowing, or directly in one step. 6 realms. No matter what, in this way, Natsuki is not worried about the 4th Ninja World War at all. Although it is less than 4 years before the 4th Ninja World War, he always has a mysterious confidence in his heart. This is probably the optimistic nature of otaku. Time turned, and a month and a half passed. In this month and a half, in the previous time, after Xiaomu took the 8th shift to perform 2 sea-level tasks, Sunset Hong returned and began to lead the 8th class to carry out tasks again. After all, she is the guide of the 8th class. In this way, Natsuki once again began to perform A-level tasks above the B-level alone, basically A-level tasks, and 100% completion efficiency is maintained. Konoha Gate. Natsuki walked towards the place where he had just completed a B-level assassination mission, and had just returned now. Natsuki-sama. Seeing Xiaomu appear, the steel iron guarding the door had a hint of respect on his face. You're back. For the strong, most people are respected, especially an absolute strongman like Xiaomu. It may be the reason for Tsunade, and the news that Natsuki and her fight with Jiraiya without defeat has been publicized. Everyone knows that a young strong man appeared in the village one day. Attention, not a genius, but a young strong man. This subtle difference can be seen that although Natsuki is only a zonin now, he has begun to have his own reputation in the village, and it is not an ordinary reputation. Stepping on the prestige of Tsunade and Jiraiya, you can see this glory, so it is normal for steel and iron to have such a reaction. Good work. Nodded, handed over his certificate of returning to the village to Gonzi Iron, and when Natsuki was about to turn around and go to the Hokage building to hand over the task, he turned his head and saw Nara Shikamaru waiting for Naruto Uzumaki and the others, and quickly came to the door of Konoha. Shikamaru, you guys are? Xiaomu glanced at so many people, and a trace of doubt appeared on his face. Did something happen? Even Hinata is here. This formation, Xiaomu doesn't quite understand what the situation is. Hearing Natsuki's voice, Nara Shikamaru's face showed a color of surprise. Friend, it's really good that you're back. Quickly came to Natsuki's side, Nara Shikamaru said in a shocked manner. Last night, Sasuke seemed left the village. Hearing Nara Shikamaru's words, Natsuki's pupils shrank, turned his head to look at the crowd, looked down at the silent Uzumaki Naruto, and then looked at the configuration of this squad. Natsuki recalled. Uchiha Sasuke defection incident. Episode 82. If the time is now, it is almost the same. Although before, a group of small powerhouses, under the organization of Xiaomu, also had many dinners, and even the third class of the first session, that is, Kaiban also participated, but it still didn't change the matter of Sasuke Uchiha's defection. But this is also expected by Natsuki. After all, the current Uchiha Sasuke, the darkness in his heart, is infinitely amplified, and it is really normal to accept the temptation of the power of the big snake pill. It's just that Natsuki is more or less disappointed. After all, he has been in the same window with Uchiha Sasuke for 6 years, and after graduation, he still maintained everyone's feelings. For Natsuki, Uchiha Sasuke can also be regarded as a friend. For his friend such a merciless rebellion to escape, Natsuki's heart naturally has some discomfort. After all, it is a real friendship that has been with each other for 6 years. In Natsuki's contemplation for a while, Nara Shikamaru had already told Natsuki all the information. Just a few of you to pursue? When Nara Shikamaru finished speaking, Natsuki asked. This little manpower is completely insufficient, that's Orochimaru's subordinate. The tone was a little stern, and Natsuki was a little angry, and his sharp eyes looked at Nara Shikamaru. In the original work, this team of Nara Shikamaru almost suffered total annihilation. Most importantly, this time Nara Shikamaru's chosen teammate turned out to be the 3 members of the 8th class. Such a dangerous mission. Natsuki is almost certain that Hinata is very likely to be seriously injured. This is the main reason why he is angry. Facing Natsuki's sharp gaze, Nara Shikamaru's face showed an extremely embarrassed color. He was smart. He knew very well why Natsuki was angry, and everyone else more or less understood the reason. After all, Natsuki's care for Hinata, everyone present is not blind, they can all be seen. Natsuki looked at Nara Shikamaru and pondered for a while before speaking. Sorry, Shikamaru, I didn't question your decision, but I fought with Orochimaru and know how terrifying he is. There are only a few of you, and it's completely inadequate. After speaking, Natsuki sorted out the trench coat on his body and spoke. I'll go after it first, and then you will come after you gather a class of ninjas. At this moment, Naruto Uzumaki jerked his head up and looked at Natsuki. Friend, I'll go with you. Naruto Uzumaki's eyes were firm. Maybe he will become Natsuki's oil bottle, but he has to go. Glancing at Naruto Uzumaki, Natsuki nodded. Yes, Naruto and I go first. Shikamaru you as a follow-up support force reinforcement, understand? Hearing this, Nara Shikamaru nodded. I see, you two need to be careful. Natsuki looked at Hinata, who had not spoken, and after giving her a reassuring look, his figure moved. Naruto, keep up with me. Swish. Natsuki's figure jumped out directly, quickly left the gate of Konoha, let go of his perception power, and quickly walked towards the direction of the Valley of the End, very fast. Behind Natsuki, Naruto Uzumaki followed Natsuki silently. This is the first time that Naruto Uzumaki has suffered such a major blow, and it is also the beginning of his complete transformation, or it still needs Naruto Uzumaki to think clearly on his own, and if others say it, I'm afraid they can't solve this problem. In the middle of the forest, the two figures quickly moved between the trees, quickly approaching forward. Natsuki's perception is very large, this forest moves, some chakra left, Natsuki can feel, but when Naruto Uzumaki chased him for a long time, a large number of chakras appeared in Natsuki's perception. Naruto. Grabbing the grass pheasant sword with one hand, Xiaomu spoke. Prepare for battle. Hearing Natsuki's words, Naruto Uzumaki's mind came back from his contemplation in an instant. Are you going to catch Sasuke? Natsuki nodded and spoke. Soon, Sasuke's chakra, just ahead, but before that, we need to deal with the ninja troops of Otohide village who are rushing towards us. Hearing Natsuki's words, Naruto Uzumaki's face changed, and he turned his head to look at Natsuki. Ninja troops? Xiaomu did not deny it, and directly spoke. So as I said, you have prepared too few people, there are 5 on the left. Naruto handed over to you to hold them temporarily. I solved the right. Just come and help you. You don't need to fight, lose shuriken and kunai, just attract their attention. So, Natsuki threw a kunai with his flying thunder god technique to Naruto Uzumaki. Also, take this kunai. Swish. At the same time as the words fell, Xiaomu's figure jumped vertically, flying directly to the right, extremely fast, and a burst of terrifying thunder chakra erupted from his body, setting him off like a thunder god. Hey friend. Naruto Uzumaki took Kuwu, with a confused look on his face, and shouted. It's just that Natsuki's has left quickly. With a flick of his hand, Naruto Uzumaki's face was filled with anger. Damn it. After separation, in the blink of an eye, in front of Xiaomu, more than 10 Shinobu figures appeared, quickly coming up towards him. Click. Holding the grass pheasant sword in his right hand, a sneer appeared on Xiaomu's face. Here it comes. Choke. At the moment when the two sides approached, Xiaomu's body burst out of endless thunder light, and at the same time, the grass pheasant sword in his hand directly struck. One knife flow, 8 knives. Zheng. At the same time as the sound of the sword groan sounded, a brilliant sword light cut through the oncoming 18 shinobi. Poof. With one sword, 8 human heads flew into the air in unison. And while blood spilled on the trees, 8 corpses fell from the air to the ground. 8. With a gaze, Natsuki's feet stepped on the tree, and his figure turned around, directly killing the nearest otobu. Poof. 9. At the same time as the words fell, Natsuki's figure once again flashed between the trees, killing another person. Poof. 10. 17. When the last otobu died at the hands of Natsuki, he calmly said such a number. No resistance. The strength of these shinobi is at the level of middle ninja. But in the face of Xiaomu, who has exploded in strength, they have no resistance, they can only be killed by the neck and resist. That degree is too useless in Xiaomu's eyes. Swish. After solving the last person, Natsuki's figure flashed and disappeared in place. The other side, Naruto Uzumaki's face was serious, although at the beginning, he relied on his surprise and solved an enemy with a spiral pill. But the remaining 4 Naka shinobi had already surrounded him. Although Natsuki told him to throw his shuriken and kumu to drag his opponent, it was like what Naruto Uzumaki did. Regarding Sasuke Uchiha, this guy has no way to calm down and think now. It was precisely because of this that Xiaomu would throw a flying thunder god Kuwu to him. Abominable. Looking at the 4 Oto shinobi who were killing towards him, Naruto Uzumaki gritted his teeth and made a defensive motion. I can't fall here. Episode 83. Haven't brought Sasuke back yet. Naruto Uzumaki gritted his teeth and clenched the kunai that Natsuki gave him in his hand. I will definitely not give up. Yikes. The 4 Oto endured in the enduring, and sneered viciously and killed in front of Naruto Uzumaki. Go and die Konoha's imps. Just when the attack of the 4 was about to fall on Naruto Uzumaki, flying thunder god slash, Natsuki's voice suddenly sounded, and immediately after the 4 middle shinobi of Otobu, he saw a blue flash appear. Poof. The sword flashed, and 4 human heads flew into the air, and then the bodies of these 4 Zonnin fell directly to the ground, blood spilled on the ground, and the pungent smell of blood spread. Click. Putting the knife back into its sheath, Natsuki turned his head, looked at Naruto Uzumaki behind him, and asked, "Are you alright?" Naruto. For Natsuki's sudden appearance, Naruto Uzumaki's face froze for a moment, but quickly recovered. I'm fine, let's go friend, I won't hold you back. Hearing this, Natsuki nodded. Keep up. Next, there are more enemies. Ugh. Xiaomu's figure moved, jumped directly onto the branches, and quickly walked towards the front. Yes. Naruto Uzumaki answered loudly, quickly catching up with Natsuki's figure, and the two quickly pursued towards their target. 3 minutes later, the two encountered a second wave of enemies. 5 minutes later, he was met with a third Boeing ninja sniper. 10 minutes later, he was hit by the 4th Boeing shinobi. This way to kill. 50 or 60 Otobi's corpses remained on the road. Above the canopy of the tree, 2 figures rushing quickly moved. Naruto, hurry up a little faster, I already feel Sasuke's chakra. Natsuki glanced at Naruto Uzumaki beside him, and at this moment, his body was already flowing with crimson nine-tailed chakra. The interception that Ototo encountered before was not a lot of pressure for Naruto Uzumaki. Although most of them were killed by Natsuki, Naruto Uzumaki also needed to face 3 or 4, or even 6 or 7 Otobi, each time, which really made him choke, and he couldn't withstand it without the powerful chakra of the 9 tails. This can also be regarded as a little trial that Natsuki gave to Naruto Uzumaki. After all, the biggest plug-in for Naruto Uzumaki in the early stage is the 9 tails. Sasuke. Hearing Natsuki's words, the 9-tailed chakra on Naruto Uzumaki skyrocketed. Wait for me. Swish. The speed skyrocketed, and the 9-tailed chakra on Naruto Uzumaki also overflowed more. The beard on his face became thicker. His eyes became vertical pupils, although the tailed beast chakra coat did not appear on his body. But there is a red chakra leaking out. Prick. On Natsuki's body, thunder chakra flickered, and instantly kept up with Naruto Uzumaki, whose speed skyrocketed. Swish. The figures of the two rushed out of the woods in an instant and fell directly onto a small lawn. Crash. On the lawn, the figures of Natsuki and Naruto Uzumaki stopped abruptly. Someone is blocking the way. Looking at the person blocking the way in front of him, Xiaomu's face showed such a color. Kagayakumaru, left near right near, Orochimaru, Tayuya, Jirobo, Otobi 5. From the time of departure, Natsuki remembered that this mission, it is bound to be able to meet the existence of these people. They are all quite good opponents, and they should be able to drop quite good cards. Looking at the 5 people of Inrin, Xiaomu said with a sneer on his face. It's Orochimaru's subordinate again, but this time, compared with the previous miscellaneous fish, it doesn't seem to be simple at all. Naruto Uzumaki was even more anxious than Natsuki, and stepped forward a few steps. You guys, hand over Sasuke. Now Uzumaki Naruto, the breath on his body is very huge, it can even be said to be violent. The chakra of the 9 tails. Before the 9 lamas did not recognize him, the negative emotions in this chakra will always affect him. Ignoring Naruto Uzumaki, Kagayaku and Mari, who was the leader of the 5 people of Otonobi, looked directly at Natsuki. Natsuki friend, Konoha's famous Naka shinobi, his strength is unfathomable. At least it is also the level of Konoha technician Sharingan Kakashi, Mr. You said to be absolutely careful of existence. While speaking, Kagaya-kun Mari took off his clothes and spoke. Your mission, this is the end of it. Sasuke-kun is the container that Lord Orochimaru wants, and it can't be handed over to you. Along with Kagaya Kumaro's words, the 5 people of Otobi all had solemn looks and were ready to fight. Seeing this, Xiaomu stepped forward and put one hand on the grass pheasant sword. Naruto. Hearing Natsuki shouting to himself, Naruto Uzumaki, who was preparing to fight, turned his head and looked at Natsuki. The thunder chakra on his body rushed up, and Xiaomu spoke. Sasuke is leaving quickly in the direction we are chasing. The next tracking distance will be handed over to you. There are no other enemies, the 5 of them, leave it to me to solve. Hearing this, Naruto Uzumaki nodded with a serious face. I know Sasuke left it to me. Swish. As soon as the figure moved, Naruto Uzumaki's figure rushed directly towards the front, wanting to break through the blockade of the 5 people of Otono. How is it possible to let you pass? The fat man Jiro Fong, who was among the 5 people of Otonobi, opened his mouth with a serious face. Tudu and Tuliing Danzi. So, a huge large rock smashed directly towards Naruto Uzumaki, trying to stop him from moving forward. Swish. In the sound of breaking wind, Xiaomu's figure appeared directly in front of the big rock, and he punched out. Monster fist. Boom. With a punch, the terrifying strange force poured out, and the big rock was directly shattered. Monster fist, chaos tone rush. Facing the shattered rock, Natsuki once again threw out a cannon fist. Swish. Like small cannonballs, the fragments of large rocks directly bombarded the 5 people of Otonobu, and the power was fierce and invincible. Yikes. In the face of such an attack, all 5 people in Shinobu flashed, and they all dodged away. Go, Naruto. The blow opened the way ahead, and Natsuki spoke to Naruto. Hearing Natsuki's words, Naruto nodded, quickly left here without saying a word, and quickly chased in the direction pointed out by Natsuki, that is, the End Valley. Under the increase of the 9-tailed chakra, the speed was very fast. After glancing at Naruto Uzumaki disappearing, Natsuki's gaze fell on the 5 people of Otonobi. Of course, it's more on Kagaya-kun Mari. The other 4 can't enter his eyes. From the ninja bag, taking out the 6 kunai, Natsuki looked at the 5 people of Kagaya-kun Mari and spoke. Now here, it's just us, I will take your lives. Hearing Natsuki's words, except for Kagaya-kun Mari, the other 4 people all had cold faces. Yikes. 4 directions, attacking at the same time, the only girl in the crowd, Tayuya, had a murderous intent on her face. Little white face pretending to be a ghost. Episode 84. Huh. Hearing Tayuya's words, Natsuki smiled coldly, and just threw the kunai in his hand towards the 5. Swish. The 4 kunai shot at the 4 of Tayuya at an extremely fast speed. It's useless. A disdainful sneer appeared on the faces of Tayuya and the others, and he opened his mouth and mocked. This is the strong man in Mr. Pocket's mouth? Konoha has fallen. Click. Xiaomu's right hand instantly rested on the grass pheasant sword, the sneer on his face was revealed, and the corner of his mouth raised a mocking arc. Is it? Flying Thunder God Spiral Flash Super will dance roar 3 styles. Ugh. Sting. Poof. In an instant, a blue lightning bolt appeared in the air of the lawn, with the ultimate brilliance, like a little spark at the end of life. After this blue flash, the blood flowers scattered in the sky. Boom. Click. Natsuki's figure appeared next to Kagaya-kun Mari, and the grass pheasant sword in his hand slashed at his neck, only to be blocked for a second by a few bones that suddenly protruded. Taking advantage of this second gap, Kagaya-kun Mari quickly retreated, dodging Natsuki's killer sword. Zheng. With the groan of the knife, several white bones were cut off and fell to the ground. At the same time, the heads and bodies of Tayuya and the other 4 also fell to the ground. Without any breath of life, blood soon flowed to the ground, and the air of this lawn began to emit a strong smell of blood. Very good response. Natsuki looked at the frightened Kagaya-kun Mari after flying back, and said, although I am not serious yet, it is also your ability to avoid it. Yikes. Alright. The grass pheasant sword in his hand held a sword flower, and Xiaomu said with an interested smile on his face. Then have a good time with you. If you say it, I still have some interest. Kagaya-kun Mari, let me see how powerful your corpse vein ability is. Hearing Natsuki's words, dense spell marks began to appear on Kagaya-kun Mari's body. Without a level of opening, under the blow just now, Kagaya-kun Mari is already very clear that he is not Natsuki's opponent at all in his normal state, and now that he is seriously ill, he must go all out directly. After turning on the state of spell seal 2, Kagaya-kun Mari looked at Natsuki. Yes, corpse bone vein, 10 fingers piercing. At the same time as the words fell, Kagaya-kun Mari flicked his hands, and the finger bones of 10 fingers were launched out like bullets, shooting towards Natsuki in all directions, with great power. His face remained unchanged, and Xiaomu glanced at the 10-finger piercing bullet that exploded towards him, and his hands instantly froze. Tudu and Toliu wall. Bang. A thick earthen wall rose directly from the ground and blocked in front of Natsuki. Bang bang. As if a bullet had hit a target, Kagaya-kun Mari's 10 fingers pierced and shot the earthen wall in front of Natsuki into a hornet's nest. Boom. With a loud noise, the earthen wall in front of Natsuki was directly shattered, and Kagaya-kun Mari's figure directly rushed out and killed Natsuki. corpse bone vein willow dance. Without the slightest superfluous physical skill, with the hideous bones of the whole body, he quickly attacked towards Xiaomu. Ding ding. A series of sounds of gold and iron sounded, and Natsuki and Kagaya-kun Mari exchanged hands in an instant. Dancing the grass pheasant sword in his hand as he wished, Natsuki resisted all the attacks of Kagaya-kun Mari without a trace of flaws, and with his current strength, Kagaya-kun Mari's attacks were really completely useless. With ease, Natsuki completely blocked Kagaya-kun Mario in the second state of the spell seal. Not enough, far from enough. Kagaya-kun Mari's face was solemn, looking at Natsuki. The chakra on his body burst out again. Bone vein, Tsubaki no dance. Corpse bone vein, dance of Tang Song, dance of bone veins and wire flowers. The offensive went from wave to wave, and Kagaya-kun Mari tried his best to completely destroy Natsuki's dripping defense. But his attack, in Natsuki's hands, did not play the slightest role. Can you only do that far? Xiaomu's face, with an icy color, spoke. If that's the case, you're going to die. While speaking, Xiaomu's body, Lei Dun chakra burst out. Lei Dun Lei, instantaneous technique. Sting. Jing. With a brilliant sword light from the grass pheasant sword in his hand, Natsuki directly killed in front of Kagaya-kun Mari. Supersonic thunder escape saber. Poof. This knife, like a broken bamboo, without the slightest pause, directly cut through Kagaya-kun Mari's neck. A human head flew into the air, and finally fell to the ground, rolling out for a long distance. Click. Putting the knife back into its sheath, Natsuki glanced at Kagaya-kun Mari's head, stared at the pair of shocked eyes, and spoke. Your big move, I still know, how is it possible for you to use it? Dance of the Early Fern, the corpse bone vein is a very good blood succession limit, but it's a pity that it can't burst out. Between speaking, having already collected the few cards that had dropped here, Natsuki glanced in the direction Naruto Uzumaki left. Thundered. In the sky, there were several thunderous sounds, and it seemed that thunderclouds gathered in the sky. It's going to rain. After Xiaomu spoke, his figure moved. Go straight in the direction Naruto Uzumaki left. He had no interest in the battle between the two children of destiny, but he was going to bring Naruto Uzumaki back, and also to prevent some eventual incidents. For example, if someone comes to pick up Uchiha Sasuke, or Uchiha Sasuke, if the inner darkness comes up and kills Naruto Uzumaki in the Valley of the End, it will be fun. After all, this time the battle between Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha was lost by Naruto Uzumaki. The Valley of the End. The rain kept falling, below the Valley of the End. Naruto Uzumaki lay unconscious on the ground, clutching a brace that had been slashed in his hand. Swish. Natsuki's figure flashed and appeared next to Naruto Uzumaki, glancing in the direction that Sasuke Uchiha had just left, and had just walked into the woods. If Natsuki chased him, he would definitely be able to chase him. After all, his strength far surpasses that of Sasuke Uchiha, but it was clear that Natsuki was not going to chase Sasuke Uchiha. A person whose heart has been wrapped in revenge, it will not do much for you to capture it. Looking for someone to watch him every day? There is no need for this. In Natsuki's opinion, it is better to let Sasuke Uchiha leave. This is the beginning of multi-party growth. It was the beginning of Sasuke Uchiha's growth, but also the beginning of the growth of others. After all, his departure will promote the growth of Naruto Uzumaki, and it will also promote the transformation of the little strongmen, and the new generation of Konoha. The time for real growth only began after Sasuke Uchiha left. Natsuki withdrew his gaze and looked at Naruto Uzumaki lying on the ground. Friend. At this time, Naruto Uzumaki slowly opened his eyes, and after seeing Natsuki, he said in a trembling voice, Sasuke, I wasn't able to keep him. Episode 85. Hearing Naruto Uzumaki's words, Natsuki nodded. I know, get up. Reaching out and pulling Naruto Uzumaki up from the ground, Natsuki glanced at the traces of battle left here in the Valley of the End and spoke. That's the end of it, go back. Regarding Sasuke Uchiha's mission, it ends here, and there is not much point in continuing further. Hearing Natsuki's words, Naruto Uzumaki nodded silently, holding Sasuke Uchiha's forehead in his hand and not letting go. Natsuki just glanced at Naruto Uzumaki and didn't say much. This hurdle can only be passed by himself, and others can't help much. At this time, a figure fell in front of Natsuki and Naruto Uzumaki, and Kakashi, who had a serious face, stood in front of Natsuki and Naruto Uzumaki. Just by glancing at the two, Kakashi already understood what was going on. Naruto, hard work. Kakashi looked at Naruto Uzumaki and spoke. Looking up at Kakashi, Naruto Uzumaki had a strong disappointment and exhaustion in his eyes. Kakashi-sensei. As soon as his eyes closed, Naruto Uzumaki fainted again, was caught by Kakashi, and carried on his back. Looking at Naruto Uzumaki, who had passed out in a coma, Kakashi spoke. I know everything. After saying something to the unconscious Naruto, Kakashi looked at Natsuki, who did not say a word next to him, and spoke. Friend, the mission is over, go back. The words fell, and Kakashi walked in the direction of Konoha. With the speed of a ninja, after chasing for so long, he was already about to run out of the country of fire at this time. On the way back, Natsuki didn't say a word, and Kakashi didn't seem interested in communicating, so the two just walked. It didn't take long to meet Nara Shikamaru and others who came with the ninja support unit. Natsuki-kun. Seeing Natsuki, Hinata came to his side with a worried look. Hurt? Holding Hinata's small hand, Natsuki shook his head and spoke. Don't worry, I'm not hurt. After comforting Hinata, Natsuki's gaze looked at Nara Shikamaru and the others who were looking at him with inquiring eyes, and slowly shook his head, and the meaning of the expression was naturally self-evident. Receiving Natsuki's answer, Nara Shikamaru and the others fell silent. Is that so? Uchiha Sasuke was not able to bring it back, but no one would say that Natsuki and Naruto Uzumaki were not strong enough or something. On the way here, the corpse of Otonin placed in the forest was enough to explain everything. There are also 5 corpses on the lawn, and at a glance, you can tell that it is not a simple color. All tried their best. This result is also expected by everyone. Even if it is as powerful as Natsuki, it is not something that can be done. Sasuke Uchiha defected. It's a foregone conclusion. Hokage office. Natsuki put a task scroll on Tsunade's desk and spoke. The whole mission, that's it. This was the B-level mission that Natsuki had performed before. Tsunade nodded, and after putting the scroll aside, looked at Natsuki. Friend, what do you think should be done about Sasuke Uchiha's defection? Hearing Tsunade's words, Natsuki was stunned for a moment, and then fell silent. Since Tsunade and Jiraiya tested his strength, they have been constantly promoting Natsuki, accumulating prestige and popularity for him, and paving the way for Natsuki to become a Hokage. After all, his strength is enough. This is also the reason why Tsunade and Jiraiya joined forces to test. For Tsunade, who Natsuki had already begun to cultivate, it was normal for him to ask him so. After a moment of silence, Natsuki spoke. Sasuke's defection is an opportunity let Naruto and them grow up completely, and the opportunity to start transforming from the heart, so I think, don't release Sasuke's defection wanted for the time being. After a pause, Natsuki spoke. After all, the bond between Sasuke and everyone is already very deep, especially Naruto. The desire to bring Sasuke back will become one of the driving forces for him to become stronger from now on, and the bond between him and Sasuke is very deep. Naruto Uzumaki is a 9-tailed pillar force, and it is not a secret to Natsuki. At the moment, it makes sense for him to mention this, and it just so happened that Tsunade, who also valued Naruto Uzumaki, also nodded in approval. Good way to deal with it. That's what I planned too. This mission. Hard work for you, friend. Hearing this, Natsuki nodded and said, then I'll go back. I haven't rested at all in the past few days. To be honest, I'm quite tired. Tsunade nodded and spoke. Yes, you can take a good rest recently, and don't have to rush to do tasks. Natsuki looked at Tsunade speechlessly. As a woman, of course Tsunade-sensei doesn't know that a young man like me is under pressure, and if you want to marry the eldest lady of the Hyuga clan, you need a lot of money, so you can't let Hinata marry me and suffer, right? Hearing Natsuki's words, Tsunade said with a dark face, fuck off. Swish. Natsuki shrugged. His figure disappeared directly from the Hokage office, and he flew directly to Thor to leave. This time it was unexpectedly convenient. Natsuki's house. Standing in the position of the entrance, Natsuki handed over all the equipment on his body to Hinata. Hinata, what about Shikamaru? Taking Natsuki's equipment and hearing his question, Hinata spoke. After sending Uzumaki-san to the hospital and making sure that he was fine, everyone dispersed. The matter of Sasuke Uchiha hit everyone quite hard. Hearing this, Natsuki, who was changing his shoes, spoke. Of course, after all, I am a companion of the same window for 6 years. After changing his shoes and standing beside Hinata, Natsuki pinched Hinata's little face. But fortunately, the situation is not too bad this time. It will not completely knock everyone down. On the contrary, it will make everyone grow. And everyone's consciousness seems to be a little worse than my cute Hinata-chan. Hearing Natsuki's words, Hinata's little face turned red, and he lowered his head and said softly, I'm not that good. Seeing Hinata's appearance, his heart moved, and Natsuki directly picked Hinata's chin and lowered his head directly. Natsuki directly kissed on Hinata's lips. Hinata, whose eyes widened and was suddenly attacked, looked at Natsuki with a shocked expression. The next moment, smoke began to rise above my head, and I was about to faint if I staggered. Don't faint, Mom is still there. At this moment, Natsuki let go of Hinata, as if a demon whispered, and said something in Hinata's ear. After speaking, Natsuki walked towards the house with a smile on his face. Hearing Natsuki's words, Hinata, who was about to faint, was full of excitement, and there was no longer a feeling of dizziness. Looking at Natsuki's back, Hinata quickly followed and said softly, Natsuki-kun, it's really too bad. It's like a little devil. True, bad. Episode 86. Fast forward and 3 days passed. Xiaomu takes care of the flowers and plants in the yard every day. As Natsuki earns more and more money, the living standard of Natsuki's family is getting higher and higher, and there are a lot of flowers planted in the yard, all of which are liked by the mother, and Natsuki has no opinion on this. It's not just Natsuki who is here, but even Hinata is here. Hinata has often come over since the Chunin exam, as if he already treats this place as his own home. Usually, Natsuki and Hinata rarely go to the third training ground for appointments now, and they will accompany their mother at home when they have time. For Hinata's performance, Natsuki can be said to be quite satisfied. The only regret is that Hinata hasn't stayed at home yet. But this is also normal. After all, he is still young, plus Hinata's face is relatively thin, so I am sorry. Although Natsuki really wants her to stay overnight. Bang bang. While Natsuki and Hinata were cutting potted plants, there was a knock on the door of the small courtyard. Friend, Hinata. Nara Shikamaru stood in the doorway and shouted, You two are home. Seeing Nara Shikamaru coming, Natsuki stood up and looked at him. Shikamaru, any tasks? Pushing open the door and walking in, Nara Shikamaru came to the two and picked up a shower at random to water. With a look of disgust and trouble, Nara Shikamaru spoke. Naruto, that guy was discharged from the hospital today, saying that he was going to have a dinner with everyone, and the three of my arrow from Sand Hidden Village also came to support, although it didn't help. But the purpose of the 5th generation is to entertain well, so I came to find you. Speaking of this, Nara Shikamaru looked at Natsuki and asked, how? Have time? Looking at Nara Shikamaru's look of disgust and trouble, Natsuki's face showed a funny color. You'd under a look. It's a little scary, Shikamaru. If you go on like this, you will be single for the rest of your life if there is time, of course. Although I love Luo, they are coming. But there is no need to go to a high-end place, just at the barbecue restaurant. Hearing Natsuki's words, Nara Shikamaru nodded and put down the shower. I know, then I'll go inform the others. At 5 o'clock, we will meet at Barbecue Q. Continuing to cut the potted plant, Natsuki waved his hand casually. After Nara Shikamaru left, Hinata spoke up. Nara-san looks like she's busy every day. When Nara Shikamaru was there just now, Hinata stood obediently behind Natsuki, like a very obedient daughter-in-law. Outside the male protagonist, inside the female protagonist. This concept is a typical Fuzi concept, and as the eldest lady of the big family, this kind of thinking goes deep into Hinata's heart. It can't be said bad, but it can't be said good either. This score situation. When the husband is very capable, this idea will make the whole family happy. When the husband's ability is insufficient, life will be difficult, and even the family itself will be in jeopardy. However, in the case of Hinata and Natsuki's pair, it is clear that this will not happen. After all, one of the mother's family is very powerful, and the other is very powerful itself. In the Hokage world, if you have strength, you have economic resources. Of course, if Hinata wanted to, Natsuki wouldn't mind her working. Anyway, everything depends on Hinata's mood. Hearing Hinata's words, Natsuki smiled and spoke. The people of the Nara family, although their strength may be slightly weaker, but their minds are very useful. So some government affairs in the village will be handed over to the people of the Nara family, natural civil servants. Hinata smiled sweetly and spoke. Natsuki-kun will become Hokage in the future. Nara-san should be able to assist Natsuki-kun very well. With a smile, Natsuki said with a slight emotion, Hokage? I will become the Hokage, but I will not be a Hokage for too long, 10 years at most, and most likely only 5 years, and then I will step down as the Hokage. Hinata was stunned for a moment and looked at Natsuki suspiciously. Why? Tsunade-sensei shouldn't have waited very late to pass on the position of Hokage to Natsuki-kun. 5 years. Natsuki-kun should still be very young at that time, right? Hearing this, Natsuki raised his eyes to Hinata and smiled fondly. Stupid, if I keep being a Hokage, won't I have a lot less time to spend with you? I don't want to put my good years on dealing with the little things. And if Hokage's words, Naruto doesn't really want to be Hokage? Putting down the scissors in his hand, Natsuki spoke. He will definitely be able to become a great Hokage, I believe that. Hearing Natsuki's words, Hinata showed a happy smile on his face and nodded. Hokage. This position is extremely important in Hinata's eyes. However, Natsuki was willing to give up the position of Hokage for her, and this sense of happiness, this satisfaction, made Hinata feel like she was in a sugar jar at the moment, sweet, making her exude happiness from the inside out. Hinata. Natsuki looked at Hinata, his eyes burning, and said, if you want to go out, shall we go take a bath? It just so happens that my mother has something to do, and she has the right new clothes for you. Swish. Hearing Natsuki's words, Hinata's little face turned red in an instant, but he didn't faint. His face was red, and he couldn't speak. Many times before, when there was a chance, Natsuki had invited it, but Hinata fainted in shame, and finally it was gone. This time, seeing that Hinata did not faint, Natsuki's heart stirred. There seems to be a show. Just as Natsuki was expecting, Hinata's voice was very small and intermittently spoke. That then I helped Natsuki-kun rub your back. It's done. Hearing Hinata's words, Natsuki's face showed a smug smile, took Hinata's little hand, and walked towards the house, feeling very comfortable, quite happy. After all, this represents a further relationship. This time the bath, Natsuki is looking forward to it more than any time in the previous 12 years. In just 2 minutes, the hot water was put in and the clothes to be changed were ready. Let's go, Hinata. Taking Hinata's small hand, Natsuki walked directly towards the bath. Hinata, who was red-faced and allowed Natsuki to lead him towards the bathroom, was too shy at the moment, and the whole person was already on the verge of fainting, if it weren't for the slightest expectation in his heart, and wanting to break the current relationship. She will definitely faint. It's just that just when the two of them were heading towards the bath, click, the door of the entrance opened, and my mother walked in with something in her hand, and at a glance I saw Hinata and Natsuki, who were holding clothes and walking towards the bath, and I couldn't help but be stunned. The scene was once very embarrassing. After being stunned, a smile appeared on her mother's face, and she covered her mouth with one hand. It seems that my mother came back at the wrong time. Episode 87. After saying something with a smile, the mother walked into the living room, completely ignoring Natsuki and Hinata, who were frozen in place. After a while, the thick-skinned Natsuki pulled Hinata's little hand. Let's go, Hinata. I'll be out later. Hinata bowed his head gently. Natsuki couldn't help but look at Hinata beside him in surprise. This time, I was not so ashamed that I fainted. What a miraculous fact. However, it is also quite good that Hinata can have such a change, and Natsuki feels very good. In this way, the future husband and wife life will definitely be quite happy. Is this little Nizi also aware of this? Looking at Hinata, whose face was flushed, Natsuki said with a smile on the corner of his mouth. After Natsuki and Hinata walked into the bathroom, the mother walked into the aisle and said with a smile, "Friend, it's okay to take a bath together, but the age thing can't be, you're all too young." The two people in the bathroom froze, and then Natsuki's voice came out. "Mom." Hearing Natsuki's words, her mother smiled with satisfaction and turned and walked to the living room. What a youth. It's 4:30. Holding hands and walking towards the barbecue queue, Natsuki and Hinata kept greeting the neighbors. For these simple villagers, perhaps at some point they will turn into fools, but they have a good relationship with his family, and when they were children, they also took good care of the orphans and widows of the Natsuki family. Natsuki has no reason to put on a condescending expression now. That's not him. Still shy? Looking at Hinata, who was blushing and shy and answering, Natsuki spoke. Mommy is true. What a great job. If it weren't for her mother preparing clothes for Hinata, if it weren't for the fact that her mother and Hinata got along well during this time, eliminating Hinata's natural shyness towards her mother, it would take some time for the relationship between the two of them to go further. Of course, bathing together is really bathing together, and nothing else is done. Don't overthink it. As the mother said, still too young. Don't look at Natsuki's appearance that he is already 15 or 16 years old, but in fact, he is only 12 years old. And there are some things that should not be too early, otherwise, it is not very good for the body. Moreover, taking a bubble bath together is almost Hinata's limit. Hearing Natsuki's words, Hinata raised his head, looked at Natsuki, and spoke. Very happy. Natsuki was interested, and looked at Hinata suspiciously. Yes? Nodding, Hinata spoke. Because I don't want to hold hands with Natsuki-kun either. I've always just held hands, want to do more and more. Couples will only do, so today, I am happy. Hinata's voice, there is a vibrato, such a strong and undisguised feeling. Natsuki felt it from Hinata's body for the first time, which couldn't help but make Natsuki stunned in place. Looking at Hinata, who was smiling sweetly, there was only one sentence in Natsuki's heart. It's really great. Hinata in this way is really beautiful, and it is the usual Hinata, two completely different kinds of beauty. Whether it is Hinata in normal times or Hinata at this time, it is Natsuki's heart. Reaching out and rubbing Hinata's head, Natsuki spoke. Me too, I want to hug, I want to kiss, I want to do more and more with you. The two looked at each other and smiled, held hands, and walked forward again. It's just, the already strong atmosphere of affection became even stronger, making some adults show goodwill and ambiguous smiles on their faces along the way. I vaguely heard some elderly people speak. It's nice to be young. For these comments and eyes, Natsuki and Hinata both smiled. Yes, it's nice to be young. More than 10 minutes later, in front of the rotisserie, when Natsuki and Hinata came hand in hand, Nara Shikamaru happened to bring the three of them over. Friend. From a distance, Nara Shikamaru opened his mouth to say hello. You're coming. Nodded. After Natsuki said hello to Nara Shikamaru, his gaze fell on the three of Maera. Hello, I love Ra, Temari, and Kankuro. Hearing Natsuki's greeting, Ero nodded as usual. Kankuro's face, with a faint trace of awe, spoke. Hello. And Temari's eyes are also in awe, but more curious. Good afternoon. Looking at the appearance of the three, Xiaomu showed a kind smile on his face and spoke. Don't be so nervous. If I am not a demon, not an enemy or a friend, I am still very kind. Go and the others should have arrived. After speaking, Natsuki pulled Hinata and walked directly into the barbecue queue. Seeing Natsuki walk in, Kankuro had a cold sweat on his face and spoke. The guy who directly destroyed us at the first meeting. He said that he was very kind. This is too hard for me to imagine. Hearing Kankuro's complaint, Temari nodded in approval. Indeed, the Xiaomu friend I saw this time is completely different from the time I encountered before. It's really unimaginable. The difference is too big. The first time they met, they defeated their three siblings lightly, and that look, it was similar to the Great Devil King. The Xiaomu I see now is like a spring breeze. The difference in painting style is too big. Well, a friend is a very reliable friend, and you will know it when you have more contact in the future. Nara Shikamaru heard Temari and Kankuro's words, and said with a smile, let's go inside, try Konoha's specialty yakiniku today, and you won't be disappointed. Iaromai walked in and asked, Naruto Uzumaki, are you there? With surprise in his eyes, Nara Shikamaru nodded. Everyone is here. After getting this answer, Iai Luo's face showed a smile and walked in. After all, Natsuki and Iero didn't have much intersection, and it wasn't good, but Naruto Uzumaki was the one who changed him. The only friend in my heart is only one, Naruto Uzumaki. Inside the barbecue restaurant, the atmosphere is very nice. Although without Uchiha Sasuke, the remaining two of the 7th class, Sakura Haruno and Naruto Uzumaki, are still in a very low mood, but so many friends are here, which somewhat alleviates this mood. When the party arrived at the back, everyone ate and chatted about the sky. It is inevitable that the topic once again fell on Sasuke Uchiha, for his defection. Everyone has a variety of expressions on their faces. Glancing at everyone, Natsuki said while clipping a piece of roast meat to Hinata beside him, Sasuke is different from us, and the fate of the Uchiha clan is on his back. As soon as Xiaomu spoke, everyone's eyes fell on him. Putting down his chopsticks, Natsuki continued, hatred now fills Sasuke's will. Revenge is the only thing he thinks, the meaning of survival. for the goal of revenge, Sasuke will not stop himself. Episode 88. Hearing Natsuki's words, everyone was silent. Revenge. These two words, they actually didn't think much about it. But the extermination of Uchiha was not a secret to everyone here. So at this moment, they also understood the reason why Uchiha Sasuke did this. And you guys think about it a little. Natsuki spoke again and said, his own brother killed his entire clan, and the twisted hatred brought about by the drastic change, without blood as soap powder, cannot be cleaned at all. We haven't experienced this kind of thing, so we can't understand him. Raising his head, a smile appeared on Xiaomu's face, and his tone became determined. But Sasuke is not completely unsavageable. There is only one person who can bring him out of the darkness, and that is. Turning his gaze to Naruto Uzumaki, who was sitting on the side, Natsuki spoke. You Naruto, whether it's me or anyone else, we won't necessarily be able to awaken Sasuke's deep bonds, but you can Naruto. You are the only one who can understand each other with Sasuke. Hearing Natsuki's words, Naruto Uzumaki was stunned. He didn't understand the deep meaning in Natsuki's words. However, he understood one sentence. He is the only one who can bring Sasuke back. After pondering for a while, Naruto Uzumaki raised his head, a spiritual smile on his face, and spoke. Oh, Sasuke's words, I will definitely bring him back, absolutely. Hearing Naruto Uzumaki's words, Natsuki nodded in satisfaction and no longer talked about this matter, but about cultivation. And then, the crowd began to ask. Even the three of them participated in the discussion and exchanged their respective cultivation experiences. After 8 o'clock in the evening, the party ended. Natsuki accompanied Hinata and headed towards the Hyuga clan. Natsuki-kun, starting tomorrow, I'm going to study with Tsunade-sensei. Waving his finger-clasped hand, Hinata said with a relaxed face. Tsunade-sensei said that he would teach me medical ninjutsu, and after training chakra's control, I would start practicing the monster fist, which may take a long time, but I am not in a hurry. Hearing this, Xiaomu nodded and said, this is good. Tsunade-sensei's medical ninjutsu is one of the best in the entire ninja world, and if I get injured in the future, I will give Hinata to treat me. Nodding sweetly, Hinata spoke. I will definitely protect Natsuki-kun well. Looking at Hinata, who was becoming more and more active in front of him with a smile, Natsuki expressed great satisfaction. Being able to change a person's personality is also a very fulfilling thing. At night, in Natsuki's bedroom, sitting at his desk, Natsuki wrote a practice plan in a notebook. Now that Sasuke has defected, it must not be long before Naruto Uzumaki will leave Konoha with Jiraiya and go on a trip to cultivate. When he comes back, it's the wind spread. The wind rises again, the wind and clouds change. At that time, the entire ninja world will change, and Konoha will be even more stormy. Xiaomu wants to protect everything he wants to protect in the storm, and simply with the strength of the current shadow level, it is completely not enough to see. That's why he needs to make a practice plan. Although it is a practice plan, it is more accurate to say that it should be a plan to pick up cards. With his current status, Konoha has almost no place to be grounded for him, and he has a lot of contact with Shainin. In this case, it is difficult to remain strong. Ultra Shadow. After writing down the whole set of plans to pick up cards, Natsuki wrote down 2 words at the end of the notebook. Ultra Shadow. Comprehensively transcending the realm of the shadow level, named Super Shadow, that is, the level of the reincarnation Uchiha spot, called Super Shadow. The 6 realms, the entire ninja realm, can reach only a handful of people. Uchiha, who became the pillar force of the Ten-tailed people, Naruto Uzumaki, who opened the 6 modes, Sasuke Uchiha, who opened the Eye of Reincarnation of the 6 Jade Reincarnation, and the Big Wooden Man, who opened the Reincarnation Eye Chakra mode. Even Uchiha Obito, who became the pillar power of the Ten-tailed people, is not a true realm of the 6 realms. The Uchiha belt soil in the state of the Ten-tailed human pillar force should be above the Super Shadow and below the 6 realms. It can be seen that although the 6 realms are the peak ceiling, they cannot become the norm in the Hokage world, and the Super Shadow level is the peak of Hokage's combat power, and it is also the real norm. Therefore, the Super Shadow level must be reached. When did my reincarnation I begin to move? Yes. Sitting on the chair, Xiao Mugong opened his mouth and complained. Boom. A dull sound that only Natsuki himself could hear emanated from within his body. The chakra in his body shook violently, and instantly rose a little, and at the same time, his eyes also produced a tingling and swollen feeling, which caught him off guard and startled himself. This feeling, a color of surprise instantly appeared on his face, and Natsuki spoke. It won't be wrong, the fetal movement period of the reincarnation eye has finally arrived. It has been more than half a year since I received the 2 chakras of Indra and Azuras. The rebirth eye fetus, that can't wait for a long time, is finally here. In other words, it won't be long before the reincarnation eye can be completely opened. Natsuki's tone was filled with an unprecedented sense of ease. This day, it's really been a long time. From the time he got the white eye, Natsuki was waiting for this day to come. The opening of the reincarnation eye marks that his Natsuki friend will sit on the heavenly throne of the Hokage world, waiting for others to slowly climb to his level, and in the end, he can only be at the same level as him, but he will not be able to surpass him. Now, Natsuki can be regarded as completely relaxed, but the plan still has to go ahead. After all, there is always nothing wrong with picking up more cards. Sleep, sleep. Natsuki, who was relaxed, lay directly on the bed, fantasizing about a better future, and slowly slept. The next morning, around 10 o'clock, Natsuki left the house and headed towards the Hokage building. The Hokage building in Konoha connects to other surrounding facilities, such as hospitals, ninja breeding grounds, intelligence departments, and other ninja institutions. Hinata wants to learn medical ninjutsu with Tsunade, and Natsuki also goes to make a splash. And on the side of the hospital, there are also a large number of ninjas, which is also the main source of Natsuki's card pickup. Don't you see? Konoha technician Sharingan Kakashi, is he hospitalized for a while from time to time? So the hospital is also a good place to pick up cards. Not to mention, there are other ninja departments next to the hospital. All in all, this place, great. Hokage building. After asking about the ninjas here, Natsuki knew where Hinata was. Next to the ninja breeding ground, Natsuki quickly found a fishing ground. Is it here? Episode 89. Silently, Natsuki quietly walked into a room. As soon as I raised my eyes, I saw bookshelves, test benches, beautiful figures with their backs to themselves. On the test bench, there is a scroll with a carp that is about to die, and Hinata is trying to control his chakra at the moment, trying to save this fish, quite considering the level of chakra's control and medical ninjutsu. After watching quietly for a while, Natsuki quietly left the room. Huh? Don't accompany Hinata? Leaving the room, at the corner of the aisle, Natsuki met Tsunade. Hearing Tsunade's words, Natsuki smiled on his face, glanced at the room where Hinata was, and spoke. No need. If I accompany Hinata, it will put a lot of pressure on her, and I'm not sure I can avoid trouble, so knowing that Hinata is working hard to practice, it's okay. Natsuki's answer made Tsunade smile with satisfaction on his face. It's nice if you think so. Hinata's girl, her mind is full of you. If you accompany her, her cultivation progress will decline. This is the best. As he spoke, Tsunade waved his hand and spoke. Follow me since you haven't been on a mission recently. Help me deal with some things in the village. And by the way, I will also guide your Een seal and the practice of the 100 How technique. These two techniques are my confident works. Hearing Tsunade's words, Natsuki nodded. Yes, teacher, I see. Of course, Natsuki is quite happy to help Tsunade. After all, there will be many ninjas in contact, and it is easy to pick up cards. From the way here just now, Natsuki had already picked up several cards, although it is basically Saiyan chakra and physical skills. A month, just inadvertently, passed like this. On this day, the gate of Konoha, Yoshikamaru. Natsuki stood here alone, looking at Narashikamaru, who came not far away with the three people of Tsunahide village, and was stunned for a moment, then waved and said hello. His eyes fell on the three of Ailua, and nodded. A few days ago, a group of Xiaoqiang went to Sand Hidden Village, assisted the three siblings, performed a mission, and after being injured, they were treated in Konoha nearby, and now they should be going back, and Narashikamaru is responsible for sending it. Friend, what are you doing here? Seeing Natsuki, Narashikamaru spoke. Do you have a new mission? Are you trying too hard? 100% task completion rate. On average, there are more than 5 B-level tasks per month, plus a certain amount of C-level tasks completed along the way. The level of the mission has completely reached the level of upper patience, and even far exceeds the upper patience. Among the entire new generation of Konoha, the ninja has the best evaluation and the most experience. Natsuki is a genius and hard work in one being. This is Konoha's everyone's perception of him. Although familiar people know what the reason for Natsuki's efforts is, Natsuki's strength is deeply rooted in people's hearts. Nope. Natsuki shook his head with a smile and spoke. Even if it is me, I will not carry out tasks day and night. Come here today, it's here to see off. Hearing Xiaomu's words, the three people of Shaoyin village showed a puzzled color on their faces. With a smile on his face, Temari looked at Natsuki and asked, send off? Us? Hearing this, Natsuki waved his hand and spoke. It's not. His face froze, his hand bowed his head, and he spoke. Gee, you're really choking. It's really a pity that you can still find a gentle girlfriend like Miss Hinata. It's really like a miracle. Hearing this, Natsuki smiled and spoke. Probably because I'm good. No one denied this, and Temari couldn't help but nod. I really can't refute this. At this moment, Natsuki's eyes lit up and looked in the direction of the village. Oh, I'm waiting for someone. Come over. Following Natsuki's gaze, everyone saw Naruto Uzumaki and Jiraiya, carrying a school bag, walking towards the door, with a smile on their faces, and talking to Jiraiya. Naruto? Narashikamaru sighed and said with a smile. Speaking of which, today is the day he and Master Jiraiya left the village to practice. I've been so busy lately that I've forgotten. Speaking of which, you are even busier than me. Thank you for remembering it. Natsuki smiled. Don't look at me like this. I'm also Naruto's best friend. From a distance, Naruto Uzumaki saw Natsuki standing at the door, and took advantage of the time when he also went to register, and came directly to Natsuki. Friend, did you come to see me off? Naruto Uzumaki scratched his head and spoke. Haha. After nodding, Natsuki casually threw a bag in his hand to Naruto. This is a farewell gift for you, accept it. Looking at what Natsuki gave him, Naruto smiled and nodded. Thank you, friend. Reaching out and patting Naruto's shoulder, Natsuki smiled and spoke. Practice hard. You should know that what you want to do, without strength, will not be achieved so simply. Whether it is Sasuke or becoming a Hokage, it is not simple. After speaking, Natsuki waved his hand and walked towards the village. Looking at Natsuki's back, Naruto Uzumaki showed a confident smile on his face, and didn't say anything more. Men's friendship is so simple. Training ground number 3. After Natsuki said goodbye to Naruto Uzumaki, he came directly here and waited for Hinata's arrival. Even if you practice, there is still time to rest and date. Natsuki-kun. Without letting Natsuki wait for a long time, Hinata waved a small hand and appeared in his line of sight. When he got closer, Natsuki opened his hands, directly hugged Hinata, who was jumping towards him, and raised it high. How's the practice? After turning around and putting Hinata down, Natsuki asked softly. Although he had secretly seen it many times and knew Hinata's cultivation progress, he still asked. The little girlfriend has made progress in her practice, and she still needs the opportunity to show off a little in front of her boyfriend. Natsuki really spoils Hinata. Hearing Natsuki's words, Hinata smiled and said, the study of the palm cactus technique has been successful. Next I will carry out the practice of the chakra scalpel with a higher difficulty, and when I succeed, I can carry out the practice of the strange power fist, as well as the Een seal and the 100 how technique. Pinching Hinata's little face, Natsuki praised. Awesome, worthy of my Hinata, also a brilliant genius, it's really fantastic. Hinata's little face blushed and said with a smile. He, I just did what I could, not as powerful as Natsuki-kun said. Touching Hinata's head spoiledly, Natsuki spoke. In my eyes, you will always be the best. Episode 90. Fast forward to the passage of time, and most of the year has passed. Training ground number 3. Swish, swish, swish. Swinging one knife after another, Natsuki's expression was focused and his expression serious. After a long absence, Xiaomu came here today to practice. Hinata's 8th class went on a mission, and they had to accumulate more mission experience for the Chu Shinobi exam in the near future. Although the ninja's resume is marked with S-class mission experience, the S-class mission in the snow country that time was basically all the problems solved by Natsuki, and the 3 people in the 8th class were basically tourists. Sunset Red is the guidance of the 8th class, naturally knows the real situation of the 8th class, and chooses to take the 8th class out of the task, which is also understandable. Boom. A dull sound that only Natsuki could hear sounded from his body, making Natsuki shake all over, and the hand wielding the knife stopped. Here it is again. Xiaomu's face changed slightly, and with a helpless smile on his face, he spoke. It's been more than half a year. At this moment, the sound of the system sounded. Should the first blood succession limit evolution was completed, and the white eye evolution obtained, reincarnation eye. The words of the system made Xiaomu stunned, and then collected the knife with a calm face, and then, zheng, thundered. With a slash out, an extremely terrifying wind chakra erupted on the grass pheasant sword, and the sharp knife chi condensed directly blocked and cut off the trees in front of Xiaomu, and the wind-done knife chi directly cut out hundreds of meters before it dissipated. This move, the consumed chakra, is no worse than ordinary ninjutsu. Collect the knife and stand, feeling the consumption of chakra, Natsuki said with a smile. But in the future, where the sword art is used, after all, the rebirth eye has been successfully opened. Turning around, he came to the bottom of the tree where his coat was kept, and sat cross-legged. Let me see, after the reincarnation eye is opened, what kind of power is obtained. As soon as his eyes closed, immediately after, Natsuki opened them directly. Reincarnation eye. Airplanes. An extremely huge pupil force burst out, surging endlessly, complementing the chakra of the whole body. The moment he opened the eye of rebirth, a feeling arose in Natsuki's heart. With me invincible. It was this feeling, the real power to be able to sit on the heavenly throne, that made Xiaomu shocked in an instant. This kind of vision is simply amazing. With a shocked look on his face, Xiaomu spoke. It's no longer the black and white vision of white eyes. This time it has become God's perspective. The viewing angle is great and the ability. Raising his hand, Natsuki grabbed a stone in the distance. Gravity. So, bang. This stone was instantly like a small cannonball, shooting past Natsuki. It's too fast. Seeing the speed of this stone, Xiaomu's face changed, and he spoke. Repulsion. Airplanes. Boom. With a sharp repulsion, it burst out directly from Xiaomu's hand, directly shattering the stone that was attracted by gravity and flew in, turned into stone powder, and drifted away with the wind. Awesome. His eyes lit up, and Xiaomu's face was full of joy, and he spoke. Although the function is different from the Eye of Reincarnation, but just the precise control of gravity and repulsion, the Eye of Reincarnation should be above the Eye of Reincarnation. It is not a problem to develop it, use gravitational repulsion, and surpass Vientian heavenly attraction and Shinra heavenly sign. In addition to sighing, Xiaomu's face also showed a satisfied smile. I closed my eyes and once again felt the ability to awaken the reincarnation eye for the first time. Not anymore. His reincarnation eye, unlike the people of the Great Tube, the eyes and chakra are his own, so it is developed slowly, but there is no side effect and there are no defects. But this just suits Natsuki's wishes. Even if it was slow, he was confident that he would be able to fully unlock all the abilities of this pair of eyes, including the reincarnation eye chakra mode, before the Fourth Ninja World War. Now, the 2 abilities of gravity and repulsion are completely sufficient. That's the end of today's training. After experimenting, Natsuki stood up satisfiedly and said, "Go back." Packing up his things, Natsuki walked towards the house. Now he is much stronger than he was half a year ago. This is thanks to the advanced tasks often performed, almost always encounter ninja confrontation, and now there are many renegade and hostile ninjas who died in the hands of Natsuki, compared to more than half a year ago, Natsuki's reputation in Konoha is even higher. It still maintains a 100% task completion rate, and this alone has already exploded many people. Although the ninja level is only a medium ninja, however, Natsuki believes that it will not be long before Tsunade will increase his ninja level. The appointment of Shainin no longer needs to be evaluated. As the top force of the village, it is impossible for Shainin to open any Shainin assessment. After all, ninjas of this level have basically mastered their own unique combat methods. Under such circumstances, if you want to engage in the assessment of Zonin, it is equivalent to leaking the information of Shainin in your own village. No shadow of any village would be so stupid. There are assessments, and they are only internal evaluations of the village, but more often, after observing from various tasks, Hokage directly appoints Kami Shinobi and further elite Kami Shinobi positions. Of course, if the elite Shinobi is a ninja level, Naruto will not be specially promoted. Theoretically, upper Shinobi and elite upper Shinobi are of the same rank in the village system. It's just that the elite level upper patience belongs to the elite of the elite. In some cases, the next Kage will also be born among the elite Shinobi. This requires not only hard work, talent, strength, but also enough connections. Early the next morning, Natsuki was drying clothes with his mother, and did not go to practice or go on a mission. 2 days ago, he had just carried out an A-level mission, and now he is in a state of rest. Konoha's upper shinobi are also quite a lot. Natsuki is at home, and no one will feel anything. Friend, you should be able to become a shinobi soon, right? While drying her clothes, her mother asked. Hearing his mother's question, Natsuki was stunned for a moment and replied with a smile. Don't worry, Tsunade-sensei should be upgrading my ninja level soon, what's wrong? Mom, didn't you always care about my ninja level? Xiaomu's question made her mother roll her eyes and speak. It's not that I don't care, I just think that if you are a lifelong forbearant, the task you perform will not be too dangerous, but the reality is different. Speaking of this, the mother paused and continued. You've been with Hinata-chan for a long time, and I think it's almost time for you to visit Hinata-chan's family. Our family is an ordinary family, compared to the Hyuga family. If you become a shinobi, you should not be embarrassed. Hearing his mother's worried tone, Xiaomu's heart warmed, and he spoke. I know.